This is CHSR 97.9 FM here in Fredericton, New Brunswick, Canada. This is Python's Paradise, your film and music show, and this is your host, Greg Gilbert, aka the Python Hyena. And folks, I have a veteran in the Hollywood ranks here on the phone with me, a still photographer, and I'm going to get other things here as well. I want to welcome Dave Friedman. How do you do, Dave?
It's Friedman.
Oh, Friedman. I'm sorry, Friedman. Yeah. Well,
Uh,
it's you get the
I've
I
been
and
called
the
I've
huh.
been called many things, so
My apologies. Well, it's got the I and the E, so
yeah.
oh well. My apologies. But you're a still photographer. Have you done other things on movies as well?
Yes, I started off in the cinematography end of it because in order to get to be a still photographer, I had to collect my get my seniority in line, and that was a 5 year wait to get that. So I had to. I worked in the cinematography end of it for 5 years. I worked on some great films then, and I learned a lot from some of the masters in the industry.
Fantastic. Yeah, I've looked at your credits, and you got a pretty impressive list of films. According to Internet Movie Database, you're uncredited for quite a few of the older ones, but we're going to credit you here today with them. That's for sure. According to that, your first movie was The Sound of Music.
Yes.
Now that's going to be an impressive first movie. Now,
Well, I came in. What I did was I came in. I came into the industry in the old Columbia studios in Hollywood,
okay,
and I worked in the TV end of it for a few days. And then one day when I didn't have a call, I got a call from 20th, and they asked me if I was available. I said yes. They said, "Well, be here tomorrow morning." And I was there, reported to the camera department. They sent me to stage 15, and that was the last part of Sound of Music, the stuff that they did in the carousel.
okay,
I am 16 going on 17, and some of the love scenes between Chris and Julie.
okay. Yeah, you. Now, how did that feel to, especially all these years later, where The Sound of Music is such a phenomenon now with Julie Andrews and that famous scene on the hills? How does that feel to you all these years later, that being the first film you worked on?
Well, I've never really thought about it. It was just one of many. But it was fun, and I enjoyed working on it. I enjoyed working with great people, and unfortunately, they're all gone now. In fact, when they did a restoration of the film in 2005, I was called to do an interview for the DVD that they were doing on all the crew and everything, the ones that were left. And the guy called me up and said, "Are you Dave Friedman who worked on Sound of Music?" And I go, "Yeah." I hadn't heard that in years. And he said, "Well, we'd like to talk to you. You're the only one left from the camera crew." And I said, "Oh, thank you very much." I knew that because I knew all those guys, and we were all great friends, and they were older than I was, so I knew they were gone.
That's funny. It's like, you want to talk to me now after you guys didn't credit me for the picture?
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, that was a great start for you, and I know some notable ones you did in the '60s. Doctor Doolittle, of course, the original with was it? I believe it was
Yeah,
Rex Harrison was in that. I believe.
that was, yes.
Yeah. And you made one of the all-time, to my opinion, one of the greatest westerns ever made, The Wild Bunch. Talk about
Oh,
that.
well, I actually worked on the second unit with that, and um, it was interesting working with great people. Peck and Paul was interesting. Um, we used to say we had three crews going, three crews working, one going, one working, and one coming,
Okay.
because he would fire people daily because you never knew what his position was going to be from one day to the other, depending on how much tequila and cocaine he had the night before.
Okay.
Um, but it was neat to work on. When we did the last battle, the famous one at the end,
Yep.
um, it was said by some Mexican historians that we fired more shots in that battle than we did in the whole revolution, Mexican Revolution. So, it because it was fun. We worked on, all the guys were great people to work with. I worked with a lot of them later on, and I didn't work with Bill Holden later on, but I worked with Ben Johnson. I worked with Warren Oates, and I worked with Ernie Borgnine. So, it was fun and interesting.
Yeah, I have a lot of respect for The Wild Bunch. Thought it was a fantastic movie. And then, of course, you went into the 1970s, which was the decade where I was born. And a lot of great stuff came out in the 70s. And some of the ones I have listed here for you, Summer of 42, which I know is a big picture.
It was interesting in Summer of 42 because Warner Brothers didn't care about it. They just kind of gave Robert Mulligan a few bucks to make film because he'd done a couple of films for them and had great success. And this is kind of like, okay, you can make this film. We'll give you a few bucks to make it. So we made it up in Mendocino, California, which kind of stood in for, the East Coast, some of the places like Hyannisport and things like that. So it was interesting. We shot that film entirely up there. It was all, he rehearsed for 2 weeks before the film started. We went right through it. He wanted he wanted to cast people, the boys, and for instance, who had never been in films. They were more typical teenagers than they were actors, and that's what he was interested in. And of course, once the film hit the theaters, it took off and became one of the biggest hits of the year. And Warner Brothers was shocked, especially the screenwriter who had written the book made a hell of a deal, and he was raking in the money, and Warner Brothers wanted to redo the deal, and he said, "No way."
Yeah, I don't blame him. Yeah, that turned out to be a big film. Yeah, some impressive films on there. Then you did a big film with featuring Bruce Lee, Enter
Yes.
the Dragon.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
What was that
Great
like?
guy. He was a great guy. I did a book on Enter the Dragon. It's still available. Um, Actually, I did that for the 40th anniversary of the film, and I did that in conjunction with Warner Brothers. An incredible project, and very proud of the book. Came out beautifully, and I think there's still some left. I don't know, but Bruce is a great guy. We filmed it in Hong Kong.
Mm-hmm.
I had met Bruce when I worked on Green Hornet TV series, which was kind of laughable and short-lived. But we'd become friends. And at the time, I was married to an airline stewardess, so I could fly to Hong Kong for next to nothing. And I used to go over there and buy camera equipment, but I used to go and visit him too.
Oh yeah.
And so when that film started, they had a Chinese photographer, and the minute they saw some of his work, they go, "This ain't gonna pass muster," and so they called me in, asked me when I could be on the plane. I said, "Well, tomorrow." He said, "You're on it." Away I went. So, and I had a lot of fun. Great people on the film. We had about 5 or 6 Americans, and it was a great film, great people, got a lot of great pictures. So I was very happy.
Yeah, it's unfortunate Bruce Lee no longer with us. What a tragedy that was.
Oh, he died he died before the film was released.
Yeah.
In fact, I say, the film was a huge success, but that contributed, unfortunately, to the success of it was the fact that he was gone. I believe. And
I'm just wondering what you could share with us, what Bruce Lee was like.
Bruce Lee was very interesting guy. I got along very well with him. He was wound tight. He didn't relax. He was always tense. And I always said, someday that rubber band's going to snap. And I believe that's exactly what happened. You hear all kinds of stories about people killing him and doing all that. That's all bullshit. So, it's interesting. But he was as far as I'm concerned, a great guy. I shared many good moments with him. We worked well together. We got along well together. He was always ready to help me if I needed some. He'd do something for me if I needed it. It was just, he was a real professional, and he choreographed all the fight scenes. So, it was very interesting.
Yeah, and some other films that you had done that I really like Brian De Palma a lot, and of course you worked on Carrie. I really love Carrie a lot.
I hated it.
You did?
He
Oh,
was terrible to work with.
who? Brian De Palma?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
He was he had no sense of humor and no personality. And if you joked around on set, he fired you. And I mean, when you're on the set 14 hours a day, you got to have a few laughs.
Yeah, I agree. Yep.
Of course, on that show we had none, and it was a show we all couldn't wait to get off of.
Okay. No, I like the movie a lot. I didn't know about this. Could you relate any stories about any of the actors from the film?
Oh, no. I mean, Sissy Spacek, very nice lady. she was more into her horses than she was into acting. And it was on that film that she met her future husband.
Yeah, Jack Fisk.
That
Yep.
she's still married to,
Yeah.
I think.
Yep. Yeah, she is.
And but she was a nice lady, you know, a country girl
Mm-hmm.
from West Virginia, I think it was. And you know, it was she was one of the highlights of the film, actually.
Well, one of the things I heard about her, and I thought it worked so effectively, is that I know she was 27 when she did the film, and of course Carrie was a teenager about to go to her prom, and how she pulled that off was the clothes that she wore, and she of course hung her hair across her face and whatnot, you know, and I think it really worked in her favor. She pulled that off beautifully.
Well, it was the same when we did Grease. You know, they were all older, and we were able to pull it off, you know, with Olivia and Stockard and everybody, because they were all considerably older than teenagers. And, you know, with the right wardrobe, the right makeup, the right hair, we were able to do it. So, you know, that's part of the magic.
I was just going to talk about Grease. Last week I had the pleasure of having Barry Pearl on here, who played Duty. Very, very nice guy, and I love Grease a lot. I would have been 6 years old when that hit theaters. I went and I saw it on its 20-year anniversary at the theater, and I saw it at a one midnight show, and I love the film. You know, it must have been interesting photographing Olivia Newton-John, particularly when that great moment in there in the end when she is revealed in her that sexy black outfit, and she just looks stunning.
You know, none of us knew that outfit was coming, and she showed up on the set in that outfit, and everybody looked at her and go, "Who the hell's that?" You know, and then they realized it was Olivia. And that outfit, the pants were so tight that she split them on all the dance numbers.
Oh.
So whenever they finished the number, they were changing pants, sewing her up. You know, because those pants were so tight, she couldn't bend over.
Oh. Did she have a good sense of humor about that?
She had a great sense of humor. She was a great lady, and we all loved her.
I heard that she's a wonderful lady. Very humble. I heard that she wanted to audition for the part as opposed to just accept it because she wanted to make sure she was right for the role, and of course she ended up being perfect for it.
Yeah. I mean, I think with about a week left to go in the film, she had a party up at her ranch in Malibu for the cast and crew only. And that pissed off a lot of the people at Paramount because, of course, none of the studio executives were invited, nobody, and they couldn't get in because there was a guard at the gate of her ranch, and if your name wasn't on the list, you weren't let in. And that would have meant if you were president of the United States, you wouldn't have got in. So it was very interesting. She had a great party for all of us, and we all loved her. She was a great lady.
Any stories about working with John Travolta on that film?
I had no problems with him. He was great, professional, and did whatever you wanted him to do. Always helpful. He was a good guy.
And it's unfortunately we no longer have Jeff Conaway, who played Kaneki. I really liked him in the film.
Yeah. I saw him not too long before he passed away. He was not in good shape. unfortunately. But Jeff was a good guy.
Yeah. And Stockard Channing, you had mentioned, of course, wonderful as Rizzo.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Stockard was a neat lady. I'd worked on her in another film, so we knew each other. But great lady, fun, professional. She was a stage actress, so you always knew it was going to be right.
So on Grease, like there's just so much in Grease with the musical numbers and the sets and whatnot. Do you have any like moments that stood out to you, like your finest moments on the set for Grease?
No, they were all fine. It was one of those pictures, few and far between, where you work on it, you never want it to end.
And it's interesting because that came out in 1978, and that was the same year Superman, the movie, came out, and you got to work on the two highest grossing films of the year. And I had Jack O'Halloran on here from Superman 1 and 2 back in January, and very nice guy to talk to. And I've been in touch with Sarah Douglas. I'm working on hopefully getting her on here. But in the time being, Superman, I think, still one of the all-time great superhero movies ever made. That one and the second one both. What's your memories of this film?
Well, it was fun to work on. I didn't work. They shot a lot of it in Europe, and I didn't work on that part. I came on when they came back to America, and we worked in did all that out in Gallup, New Mexico.
Okay.
So I worked on that location, and Chris Reeves and
Margot Kidder. Yeah, Margot Kidder. Margot Kidder.
Yeah.
Yeah.
She was a piece of work, but it was. Chris was all right. She was all over the place, but she was she was nice enough.
Yeah.
Professional enough.
Yeah.
But,
it's funny because I was talking to Steve Joyner. He was the one, of course, connected us. How did you come to meet Steve? Through social media?
Yeah.
Yeah, Steve. Steve's a good guy. He sent me a lot of guests, and he connected me with you. But he told me that you weren't too fond with Sgt. Pepper's Lonely Hearts Club Band.
It's a terrible movie.
I agree. Tell me why.
Well, look at it and see.
I love George Burns, but not his best moment.
Well, I mean, there were a lot of good people in it, but there was no story. No story, no script. The director you never heard of him again. He just, I mean, the girl was terrible.
I forget who's the girl that was in it. I only saw it once. I just remember George.
I don't even remember.
She probably don't want to be remembered for it.
She had nothing. Well, she was all right personally, but there was no magic there. I mean, the Bee Gees and Peter Frampton at that time were the biggest names in music.
Mm-hmm.
So, and they were all good guys. Enjoyed them immensely.
Mm-hmm.
And they gave us some good times there. But the picture itself, I mean, was a waste of money. I don't know why they even made it. I think they thought that the names of Peter Frampton and the Bee Gees would pull people in. But
yeah.
They forgot to realize you need a story, and that part was missing.
The movie, I guess, was a financial disaster too, wasn't it?
I think it lasted about a week, maybe.
A week too long, huh? What was George Burns like?
Well, I worked with George on a couple of films. He was always great. Yeah, he's a great guy. You know, he was funny and always good to be around.
What other films did you work with George on?
Going in Style.
Okay, I never heard of that film. What's that about?
Oh God, I don't remember when we made it. We made it in Las Vegas, and it was about a heist. Three old guys holding up a bank, to make some money. You know, guys who were retired pensioners, and I don't remember the story. I don't have the script anymore. I can't tell you. It's been a long time since we did it, so.
Was that before Sergeant Pepper's? Do you remember?
Maybe just after.
Okay. Yeah, he could redeem himself from Sergeant Pepper's. One last.
They all needed some redeeming.
Yeah. One other film that you did in the 70s I want to touch upon too was King Kong. Of course, I interviewed Jack O'Halloran, who was in that as well. Yeah, King Kong with Jessica Lange.
Terrible movie.
Okay,
Terrible.
okay. Well, the new one's not that good either. Kong Skull Island. I call it
That's all. That's all CGI crap.
Yep. Yeah, I call it Numbskull Island.
Yeah.
No, so you didn't like the 1976 version that you worked on, huh?
Well, Dino De Laurentiis was a real piece of work, and of course, the big problem on that arose when all the checks bounced.
Okay.
And he had no crew, and he had to make them good. I don't know how he did, but he did. And after that, nobody really wanted to work for him. So, but it wasn't a good film. It was a bad script, and there was, again, there was nothing really there.
Do you have any memories of Jeff Bridges and Jessica Lange?
Oh, I've worked with Jeff Bridges on several things.
I like Jeff.
And he was a great guy.
Yeah, I've heard great things about him from various people I've interviewed. Yeah, I heard he's very laid back.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
You like Kurt Russell's that way, too.
I like Kurt Russell as well, yeah.
Yeah.
Yep. What about Jessica Lange?
Well, she was all right. I don't remember anything pro or con about her, other than she did her job.
Well, in the 1980s, I know you worked in a film called The Hunter with Steve McQueen. And, of course, Steve McQueen, I thought was an interesting screen presence and was able to convey a lot with saying very little, as I know in some movies like Bullet. What was your experience like working with him and working on The Hunter?
I loved him. I did 2 films with him. Tom Horn.
Okay.
Which was just before that. And then we went on The Hunter, and of course, sadly, that was his last film.
The Hunter was?
Yeah.
Okay.
But we were supposed to do one other, called Taipan, which is a very famous novel, and we were supposed to do it in Hong Kong, and he asked me to do that. And of course, it took me about 5 seconds to say yes to that, and but of course he was never able to do that. And besides, it was interesting. He was supposed to get a check up front, and he got his upfront money in 3 increments, and he got the first one, but the second one bounced. So that was the end of that film.
Oh. Yeah, I like Steve McQueen. It's unfortunately he passed, I think, way too early.
Oh yeah, great guy,
And loved race cars.
We got along great. Yeah. He liked that, motorcycles. We'd met several times when he was racing, and he'd asked me to come to work with him several times, but I was just never available when he wanted me. So it was one of those things. And we finally caught up on Tom Horn. Great guy, incredible. I know you hear a lot of things from him, but
Yep. Yeah, I'm still here. Yeah.
Yeah.
Anyway, moving onward, though, you did a movie called Up the Creek, which was almost a send-off to National Lampoon's Animal House. And had you worked on Animal House, you would have worked on the top 3 grossing films of 1978. But you did work on Up the Creek with Tim Madison and Stephen Furst, who, of course, were in Animal House. What was your experience like with this film?
Well, it was great. We had a ball. We worked in Bend, Oregon, on the river there, the Chutes River, and we shot the whole film up in Bend, and it was during the summer. It was a beautiful summer, beautiful weather, and we had a ball. That was a great film to work on. We had some great times. I remember the first day of shooting, we came out, went to go to work, and it was snowing.
Okay.
And we didn't want snow because it was supposed to be the summer, but it came anyway.
Yeah.
And producer was standing out there screaming. You can't do this. All that. Well, it did, and so we all had a day off, and but that was a great movie to work on. I don't know how good it was in the theater, but it was a great film to work on. Good people, fun people. We stayed in a great place in Bend. They put us up in this great condominium complex, and it's just a lovely, lovely time.
Yeah, any memories of Tim Madison or Stephen Furst, of course, who came from Animal House and then rejoined for this film?
Oh, they were all good guys.
Yeah, I especially remember the guy that the military type guy that was trying to sabotage the whole thing, and everything kept backfiring on him.
Yeah,
his crew got to the point where they didn't want to work with him. Yeah, and then of course, we loved Grease, and then you reunited with John Travolta and Olivia Newton-John with Two of a Kind.
Yeah. I don't remember very much about that film. It was kind of a nondescript film.
Yeah.
But, yeah.
I think it was more or less just to kind of bring those two back together, but it didn't
Yeah.
quite have that same success that Grease did.
No, not at all. It just didn't work.
Now tell me, you working on that film, was that a request from them, or was that just coincidental?
It just was coincidental, I think. I don't remember how I got on the film, but I wound up there. And of course, we all glad to see each other and got along great, so I had no problem.
Well, you know what? I envy the fact you get to photograph Olivia Newton-John. That's something to show up to work for. To shoot
Yeah.
pictures of her, she's gorgeous.
Yeah, and a lovely, lovely, lovely lady, inside and out. So that made it easy.
Yeah. And of course, you were also worked on Running Man with Arnold Schwarzenegger, and I believe Jesse the Body Ventura was in that as well.
Yeah, he was. Several other people were. Jim Brown and some of those guys played the stalkers. So, yeah, that was a fun film to work on.
Any memories of Arnold Schwarzenegger?
Great guy. Great to work with. Always fun guy, professional, never a problem.
Any memory?
You know,
I wanted to ask too about Jesse Ventura. Now, there's an interesting personality.
don't remember him.
Oh, don't. Okay. He was, of course.
Just another bit player.
Okay. I do know that you did a lot of films with Sylvester Stallone. Like you worked
Yeah.
with him a lot. I guess you had a good relationship with Stallone.
I did.
So, out of all the movies you worked on with him, this might be a hard question, but was there a favorite?
Probably Rambo and Rocky IV.
Okay. Why those two?
They were both challenging and good crew, well directed, had good people, and it just made for a good situation. And particularly Rocky IV, Sly directed it, and Sly was a wonderful director because he was very prepared, and we always knew what we were doing. And we came in, we shot the day's work, and went home. Kind of nice for a change.
Yeah.
And yeah, he was great. Rambo was great to work on. You know, we were working out in the jungle and on that film, and it was hot and humid and stinky and snakes and spiders and everything else you could imagine. But you know, we got through it and had fun doing it.
Well, that's the main thing, and of course, oh, gee, I don't have the rest of his stuff on here that you worked on. I know you worked on Cobra with him as well.
Yeah, that was great. We had a good time on that too. Yeah, Cobra.
Yeah. So, out of all the movies, like, I gotta say, are you now retired, or you still work on film?
I work a little bit here and there if there's something I want to do.
Okay. What's the last thing that you have worked on?
A picture called The First, which is about the life of Mary Pickford.
Okay. So, that didn't get a wide release, did it not?
It hasn't been released yet.
Oh, okay. I'm sorry, I never heard of the movie. That's why I asked that question. So maybe I guess that's why. Well,
That's why you haven't had a wide release yet.
well, there you go. It didn't get released at all. Yeah. So, You ever think that like you had quite an extraordinary career, like starting with Sound of Music and going through all these films and all these personalities? Ever think of doing a book?
I've done a couple.
Okay, I was not aware of that. You okay? What are your books called?
I did one called
I know you did the Enter the Dragon. You mentioned that.
yeah,
Yeah.
and that's still available. I did one called My Life in the Movies,
Okay. Okay.
which could have been a big success, but the the publisher lied to everybody and said he had distribution and marketing and all that. He had nothing, so it languished. But fortunately, I got money up front, so because I never saw any after that.
Oh, well, that's unfortunate because I think that would be a great read.
Well, that one's available on Amazon, I think. The book, the Enter the Dragon book, is available through Warner Brothers because, for one thing, on Enter the Dragon, we decided we wanted to do it off of a website, sell it off a website, and keep all the money. Because if you go to Amazon.com, they get all the money and you get some.
Okay. Well, out of all the movies that you have done, okay, I'm going to ask you a tricky question, but hopefully maybe it won't be too much of a brainstorm. But what are your top 3 favorite movies that you worked on?
Well, they vary for different reasons.
Okay.
I would have to say Grease is one of them.
Okay.
I mean, I have different favorites for different reasons.
Okay.
Day of the Locust would be one.
Okay.
Because of the incredible sets that we worked on.
Okay.
They built these incredible sets that you never would see anymore. Now they just stand an actor in front of a green screen and paint it all in later on the computer, and it would look like a cartoon, which is what it does. So, but we built, the production value alone on that film made it worth working on. And plus the people were great too. So, Rambo was great. Rocky IV was great. The McQueen movies were great. I did a movie for TV, which was great, with Orson Welles, and that made it great.
Okay.
And of course, working on Thornbirds, that was great. That miniseries, like they don't make anymore. And I don't know, and when I was a camera assistant working on Butch Cassidy and Sound of Music, Tora Tora, those great films and some great adventures doing them. So, the kind you don't have anymore. So,
I just looking on my list here. I had the Entity listed here, and I forgot to mention that.
You can keep forgetting because I've forgotten it. I can't even tell you what it was about.
It was about a star, Barbara Hershey, who believed that this unseen presence had molested her or raped her.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Would you? Okay.
I knew Barbara because I'd worked with her on the first thing she ever did, which is a TV show, a pilot for a TV show when she just got out of Hollywood High School, and that was the Monroes. It was called back in 1965
Okay.
in Jackson Hole, and she was always a nice lady. She got hooked up with David Carradine for a while, and that was enough to screw her up a bit. So. But she shaped up after a while, and she was always good. But again, I can't say anything about the movie because that's one I've conveniently forgotten about. It must have had no redeeming qualities.
Okay. Would you say that Sgt. Pepper's was your worst film experience?
No, it's just kind of the best thing about it is I got paid for 12 weeks work, but it wasn't, it didn't stir my soul, and didn't excite me to go to work on it. We shot it over on the old MGM Lot 2. It was the last film ever shot there before they bulldozed everything, sadly. But it was, it was just one of those forgettable films. If you came to me and asked me about something, I probably wouldn't remember it.
Oh, I was just going to ask what George Burns' reaction to the film was.
I have no idea.
I was
Ask
wondering.
him.
Oh, yeah, not his best moment. And he's a terrific comedian, but I saw that film once, and that was pretty much enough. But
you were one of the few that saw it.
I didn't see it in theaters. I remember I rented it years and years and years ago, and it didn't make a good impression on me. I just know that Steve Joyner found it funny, your reaction to Sgt. Pepper's. He told me when he had sent me your information, he goes, that film he hated.
Well, there was nothing to it. It was just kind of for the quality of people that were in it.
Yeah.
They did nothing with him. The director just didn't take advantage of what he had there.
No.
He was the wrong guy on that picture.
Oh, I wouldn't doubt it. Yeah.
He didn't know anything about musicals, and of course, the whole script, they sang the whole way through. They never had any speaking lines that I can remember, and it was just a strange thing. That film was just strange.
What they needed was something along the line, somebody from like Sound of Music or Grease, musicals that really brought something of substance to the picture.
Yeah, they needed a director who understood. They needed Gene Kelly directed or somebody like that.
Yeah. Who directed Sound of Music? Was that Robert Wise that directed that?
Yeah.
Okay. Him or Randall Kleiser, who directed Grease, they would have been. They might have sprung some life into Sgt. Pepper's. Yeah.
I'm not sure.
Well, Dave,
there was no script there, so it was just one of those things.
Well, Dave, it's been great talking to you about all these films. Like, you've had quite an impressive career. Was there anything outside of movies that you were passionate about?
Well, I before I came in the movie industry, I had worked for a company called Shelby American,
Okay.
and we built the Cobras and the Mustangs and everything for Ford in the 60s, early 60s, mid 60s, and it was that's where I came from. And of course, I loved that job. I loved working with Carol and the people I worked with, and so I came from pretty good stock.
Yeah.
I'm self-taught, and so I kind of earned what I learned.
Well, you know what? That you definitely contributed to a lot of great entertainment over the years, and I think that it's always fun especially for somebody like myself, to reminisce with people who've done movies that even came out before I was born, and kind of go over what was into them. I love film, always loved film, and especially love classic movies. And like I said, starting in Sound of Music, not bad.
Well, I have a lot of stories that can't be told on the air.
No. Well, that's all right.
Those are the best ones, trust me.
Oh, gee. You mean I can't bend your arm a little bit?
Over a drink, yeah, but not on the air.
Well, we'll just leave it at that.
Yeah, let's leave it.
Well, Dave, thank you so much for coming on to my show.
My pleasure.
It was it was a pleasure talking to you. And hopefully, Stephen Joyner will hook you up with some other podcasts as well. I know he's got a lot of connections, and some other people will be able to hear your stories. You've got a lot of interesting accounts.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I'm going to bid you a wonderful day there. And where are you, L.A.?
I'm in Orange County.
Oh, Orange County. Is it beautiful there today?
Yes, it is.
Yeah, we got some nice weather today. Our snow's starting to melt on us.
None of that here.
No, I'm in New Brunswick, Canada. Have you ever been there before?
No.
Not many people know where we are here.
I've been in Calgary, and I've been in Vancouver, and in Banff, and Lake Louise and areas like that. But that's it.
Okay. Well, Dave, thank you so much for coming on to my show. It's been a real pleasure talking to you.
It's been a pleasure to be there.
Yes,
Thank you.
Absolutely. God bless you.
Thank you.
Yep.
Bye-bye.
Yep, bye.